Today's episode of Mark Who 42's WHOniverse is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/MarkWho42. There are over 150,000 titles to choose for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. You lucky guys. That's www.audibletrial.com/MarkWho42.
Hi there, my name's Phil Nice. I was in an episode of Doctor Who called Kill the Moon, and you're listening to Mark Who 42.
Mark Who 42, WHOniverse.
Welcome to Mark Who 42's WHOniverse, Doctor Who WHOniverse, that is. I am your host, or temporary host, Christian-basel, and with me as always are...
trish-helm.
And Eduardo-m-freyre.
And we have a special guest today, all the way from the Geeks of Comedy, Mr...
Hi, folks, it's Patrick Hawkins, once again getting to bask in your munificent glory.
And once again, Patrick, we are in the same sphere. And once again, it's you, me, and Christian, so I don't know, should the internet quake right now? Should they just surrender to us right now? Just don't even attempt resistance, just give up.
I think 4chan has nothing to worry about.
I think it should be quaking that we have the mistress on, Miss Trish-helm, who's going to be curtailing us every time we go off key, whatever we do.
Oh, I hope I can handle it today.
We're not going to make your job easy. That's not going to happen.
I believe in you, Trish, and so do all the viewers out there. Don't we, everybody? Clap your hands if you believe it, Trish! Yeah!
You couldn't hear my hand clapping. And everybody, welcome to a new edition of Mark Who 42's WHOniverse, Doctor Who WHOniverse, that is. And we promise you, as we did at the beginning of the year, all of our episodes up until the very end of the year, unlike the current episode last season, they're going to be completely plot hole free.
Yeah, you've already made, other errors, so, plot hole free, but there's still stuff that'll end up in the goof section.
Well, speaking of the goof section, let's move on to...
Let's move on to Doctor Who News with our Doctor Who correspondent, Patricia Helm. Patricia Helm, what is in the news?
Got to be the lousiest segue I've ever done with the news segment.
That's okay. We won't
only
judge
hosted
you.
2 episodes, so...
We won't judge you, Christian, although I may do so in secret.
Well, let's just jump right into news about Doctor Who Series 9. No spoilers, so we don't need to turn the spoiler alert on.
Oh, good, it got renewed. That's great,
It's okay, I busted the thing by now. I hated that thing.
Is Mr. Capaldi still the Doctor?
Yes, as far as we know, he is, and Jenna Coleman is supposed to be in the whole season, which I'm not very happy about, but whatever. But Moffat has said, I see a lot of support for her out there, and I just wonder if those people are watching the same show that I am.
What I find curious is that I remember thinking my first appearance with you guys here, I felt that I was, and in the live appearances we've done at some of the conventions, I felt at the beginning, I was in the minority of being a Clara, I won't say hater, but say a Clara disliker. But I'm beginning
detractor. We could use detractor.
Okay, detractor's good, yeah, but I'm beginning to see a swing now. There's a growing minority that's like, okay, it's time for her to go.
Patrick, you were right. You were totally right. You were totally right.
I think we got a hashtag. Hashtag Patrick was right.
If I had a nickel for that, every time I did that, I'd have probably $1.75. Okay.
Hey, you could get something off the dollar menu at Wendy's.
Well, what do you guys think? Do you think with the new series, do you think things are going to get better with Claire without even knowing what's going on, with the exception of the first episode of the next title?
Well, let's see. Trish hasn't even gotten to what the news about Series 9 is. Let's hear what it is. So,
okay. We'll pose that question after Trish does the news.
Well, it's nothing about Clara, but it's Moffat talking, as usual. He's just talking that they're recording their first two-parter. He used the word first two-parter. So that indicates that there's probably going to be more than one two-parter. So they're actually filming episodes 3 and 4 first. And that's going to be the one that's written by Toby Whitehouse. And then he says then they're going to move on to a couple of scripts that he's written. So, yeah, of course, with how last season went, I'm not that excited.
Well, okay, White
But
House
he says
is good.
he's excited.
White House is good from what I recall. I'm not associating his name with anything that I didn't like, and unfortunately, that's how my brain is wired, like most people on the internet. Yeah, I know. So, well, Moffat's the showrunner. It's his right to write the stuff and plug it in wherever he feels. But, yeah, okay. Again, I think we can all agree that he's not a great writer, but he could be a brilliant one when he's not showrunning.
I totally agree with you on
Yeah.
that.
I would love classic old Who, like real crazy cliffhanger-y, oh no, will the Doctor survive next episode ending ones. All the two-parters have mostly just stopped the narrative. They haven't really ended on a cliffhanger moment or anything crazy like that. It's just, okay, we're happy with the story, we'll stop here and pick it up. So if they can apply an element like that, that would delight me personally.
Yeah, but this Doctor doesn't have an umbrella, so you can't have a literal cliffhanger. Unless he's hanging off the edge of the cliff by a spoon.
Really bent spoon.
All right, Trish, what's next?
Peter Davidson, he actually spoke a little bit this week. He's talking about his daughter, Georgia Moffat, and how he would like to see his daughter come back in a Doctor Who spinoff featuring her as Jenny, the Doctor's daughter.
Yeah, Peter.
That's not all he said.
Yeah, I know.
But that's not all he said. But
Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk about that. Okay.
Speaking of girls back on Doctor Who.
he wants that, but he is not a fan about the Doctor being a female. And he says that he speaks that as a fan who grew up watching it, that he has trouble with the idea of a female Doctor. He said that he figures that if you were born on Gallifrey a man, you are probably a male Time Lord. And if you reverse that, then he says that if you have a fallible female Doctor, this is a direct quote from him, with a really strong male companion, you've got more of a stereotype than anything else. What do you guys think?
At the risk of the ire from social justice warriors, I don't think he's wrong.
Yeah, I have to agree. That last quote, I see where he's coming from, and I do agree. It would fall into cliche. I do have to say that, okay, I see his point as someone who is a fan of the show, who's watched the show, who's grown up with it. I see his point there. I'm not as much in agreement with that point, but the point of if you have a fragile Doctor and a strong male companion, it goes into cliche. That point, I do see where he's coming from, and yeah, that is something that would have to be watched for if you do decide to pull the trigger and have a female Doctor.
What do you think, Christian?
I read somewhere going on Facebook and people responding to the comment, and I think the best comment that I heard, or like I said, I may not totally agree with it, but the best comment I heard is, there's nothing wrong with it, let's just keep it simple. And going beyond that, yeah, being the old generation, being the one that grew up in the 70s and 80s with Doctor Who, and then hearing that might be a possibility, like I said, there's nothing wrong. And it is determining how the story is going to go, whether this is something that, is going to survive another 50 years, maybe it's another time, maybe it's another reboot, that number 14, 15, or 16 is a female. She's going to have a lot riding on her. If we get I'm just going to make up a name, let's just say Keira Knightley becomes Doctor Who number 17. She's going to have a lot of things going on with her from people who are just so old school. They say this has got to be male, this has got to be it. And not only that, but a lot of stress on her too, because she's going to have to live up to the last predecessors that she has. So there's going to be a lot riding on that particular person, whoever does it in the female form for the first time, what's going to happen. And they're going to be scrutinized a lot. So you're going to need somebody who's really going to be taking a lot of heat. But if they do well, I'm not against it at all. I just think
Christian,
we're already here, let's stick with it.
Christian, it also goes back to something I've said before about having a female Doctor. It's not just whoever has the honor of being the first female Doctor. It's also around her, the showrunner, the writers. You have to really make the concept work. And again, we've made a joke out of it, but seriously, a show like Doctor Who, do you really want, they put in a female Doctor, they put this, knockout 30-something-year-old woman, and then, one of the episodes in her premiere season is the Doctor visits the health spa planet, or, the planet of the bikini women. Is that really a direction that the show should go?
If there's a good story behind it, and correct me if I'm wrong, other guys, if there's a really good story behind it and it backs up the Doctor message and the Doctor character, yeah, why not? Go for it. Go ahead and pull the trigger and let's do something new.
I agree with you in theory, Christian, but here's really my take on it. If it were happen now, to me, I just don't see it being for no other reason other than just a stunt. I see it as it would just be a stunt casting, and yeah, again, would they cast a female actress that was, say, the equivalent of her male counterparts? Yeah, they would. I have this feeling that they would probably pick like a Keira Knightley or something this way, would they have the gumption to pick a matronly, middle-aged female doctor? No, I think they would panic. They would kind of make her like semi-hot. So it's a fundamental paradigm shift in the character. And again, I don't have an issue with the concept of on Gallifreyans that gender is amorphous and it's going to be a cognitive choice. I just don't want the first female doctor to be focused on being the first female doctor. I would prefer to her be all just like, oh, wow, well, I've never tried this before. All right, this should be fun, and just move on. But I honestly feel we would be subjected to a first season of just whoever the companion is at that time getting used to, oh, geez, the doctor's a woman now, and blah, 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 this, that, and whatever. And again, I feel like it's pandering. I feel like it would just be pandering to the casuals who are like, well, the doctor can't be a pretty boy anymore, then he should be a girl. You go, girl. And yeah, I feel like it would be from that mentality. You know, if it was just a straight up, okay, the doctor's a woman now, and then she's going to go out and she's going to be, kicking ass and beating Daleks and Cybermen across the universe, I'm fine with it. But I just feel like there's not only the gender, and also too, I feel like her transformation to a woman would not be considered anything other than a novelty. It wouldn't be all like, okay, the next doctor will be a woman, and the no one after that. I feel like, okay, we did a woman, and then it's done, and now we're going to go back to a white guy again.
Now, Trish, how do you feel about it? And I'm going to incorporate this. I normally don't like dragging in other fandoms in here as much as I'd like to, but we're currently seeing it right now with the new Ghostbuster reboot. We now have an all-girl team, and from what I look at the appearances, and this is just appearances. This is not, I know there's a lot of challenge, but it's been a big hoop-de-doo on the internet. The sexist comments, the change, let's keep it simple. Maybe we shouldn't do this. And are we doing this because we just want a woman in the frame? Which I believe with Patrick has said, if we're doing it just to have a woman in there, then I'm not appreciating it. But it should be as seamless as though we were putting another guy in there, and maybe a few jokes about how they transferred over, which because audiences would not just let it go. We would have to have those jokes in there. But I think it should be as seamless as if we weren't to a 14th Doctor, if the guy were in there, having a very strong character, a very strong actor, and yes, some stories around that person that would work so well that we could accept this person being as the Doctor. What do you think, Trish?
All right. So as for one female perspective, I'm not going to lump myself in with everybody out there, but I tend to agree with you guys. It's like, I don't have a problem with the idea of there being a female doctor because being a girl, I'm all for girl power and stuff like that. But at the same time, I don't think they should do it just to do it. That's where I agree with you guys. And also it's like finding the right person to play the doctor would be hard because again, it's like if you put this hot young girl in there, then, okay, you're going to get all the young guys to watch, but at the same time, you're going to put off a lot of the girls that are watching the show for a lot of the part. And I guess one of the things I really don't want to see is I don't want to see the doctor running around doing all this stuff, and running in high heels. It seems like no matter what action movie you watch, whenever there's a fight scene or whatever, all the kick-ass girls are wearing high heel boots. It's like, that's bullcrap. I'm sorry, but you would not be running around like that. So that would be one of the things that would totally turn me off right then and there. And then as far as like the Ghostbusters go, okay, when I first heard about it, my first initial response was, no, that's just wrong and stupid. And when I saw who they cast, I'm like, why don't they just call it Bridesmaids 2? And I liked Bridesmaids the first time I saw it, and then the more times I watch it, the more I don't like it. And as long as they're not playing those same character roles, it might be okay. I'm starting to switch over that I might be slightly interested in seeing the new Ghostbusters, but at the same time, I'm very wary about it because I'm afraid of them just turning it into Bridesmaids 2.
And that was my concern, too, because when I put comments on Facebook and say, I don't know if I'm really interested in this, a lot of people start razzing me. He's going like, well, you're just being sexist. And so I'm not really. I said, if there's a good
remember, Christian, if you criticize the new Ghostbusters, you are a chauvinist, misogynist gatekeeper. And if you criticize the Fantastic Four reboot, you are a racist.
Oh my. Well, I said I have other concerns and issues, and I said I hope they're not coming across that. First of all, I said I'm looking at the pictures, and I could go, okay, that's Ray Stantz, that's Peter Venkman, that's Winston Zeddemore. I'm like, I could actually say these are like female clones of the original cast. Plus, they're using the SNL, these guys get together, they've been on SNL, let's try to redo that. And because of that, I kind of feel like what they're doing is they're just making a carbon copy with women now. That's not to say that's going to happen, but if I'm looking at it from this perspective, that's what it looks like it's going to happen. I think I'll give it a shot, but right now if you said, hey, Christian, you're going to watch this and here's what it is now, I would say, I'll wait until it comes out on HBO or something. I'm not going to go pay for a theater for that one. I'll just wait until I can see it on Netflix or something.
I haven't made my decision either or. I mean, I saw the cast. I have not been watching SNL recently, so I can't say anything about the two SNL ladies. I love Kristen Wiig. I love her in Paul. I've loved her in a lot of stuff she's done. Didn't like her as much in Bridesmaids. And then Melissa McCarthy, I'm sorry. I'm sure that any Mike and Molly fans who also listen to this are then going to descend upon me in mass with pitchforks. I don't like her. I'm sorry. I don't like her. I don't find her funny. I'm sorry. She's the only pick of that cast that I kind of wish they went with somebody else.
I quite like the cast, and for my own 2 cents, again, I have no problem with this. My whole thing is that, okay, instead of a continuation, they've already said, okay, it's got to be a full reboot, and whether they're gender flopping the original characters or doing the same archetypes but with different names. And this is the big problem that a lot of reboots that comics never really quite understand, is that we really are pissing off the classic fans, not because you're changing things, but because you're disregarding it, because you're saying that, oh, that story didn't count, and the story you have an emotional investiture with doesn't matter anymore. This is the new version. And the funny thing is that Ghostbusters lends itself to perfect continuation. There's no reason whatsoever they couldn't just have said the Ghostbusters have been franchised out, and these 4 new characters, they're the Ghostbusters of San Diego or of Utah or whatever. You could pick some location, and this is their story and their adventure. I feel like it's the same thing going back to the theory of a female doctor. It's like, okay, if it's just going to step into the shoes and move forward, that's fine. Capaldi's whole first season was all about damage control from not being Matt Smith, and I just feel like a female doctor, her entire run will be trying to get people to wrap their heads around the female doctor, and probably when they just finally get it right, then she regenerates.
So do you think we're going to have Zool as a hot young guy then?
Actually, right now, I mean, after you made the Bridesmaids joke, now I'm like, okay, so does this mean either Maya Rudolph, Rose Byrne, or Ellie Kemper will be like the female version of Walter Peck?
Or what about Louis Tully, who's going to be the nerdy, eccentric neighbor? I mean, I don't know. And is it going to be the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man? Are they even going to have that? Or is it going to be, some chocolate-covered marshmallow because they're all PMSing? I don't know. I don't know.
Only you could say that, Trish.
I know, because I'm a girl, I can get away with that. I know.
Yeah.
We might get some haters just from saying that. Maybe I'm being sexist. But...
Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Yes. So now, is there any other Doctor Who news? Because I think we're supposed to be a Doctor Who podcast, aren't we?
Well, we found relation into that because that turned into an all-female cast. And what if the one day that they decide that it's time for a female doctor? And we're looking at what might be the preliminary to that, to fans going, okay, that should never happen. You're going to have the diehards that say, it's a guy, that's it, no more, we're done. And then you're going to have the other side of the thing say, yeah, let's go for it. It's time. It's been 50 some odd years. Let's do this. So I think it's going to happen, and hopefully the franchise will survive the concussion of the wave, and people, as long as it's a good story, and I think it's a testament that the 4 of us are here. It's a testament to good stories, good acting, and just somebody who can continue the show without bumps in the road and taking some chances that hopefully we're going to run another 50 years, if not further, when we're gone.
Honestly, my biggest fear about the whole thing about a female doctor is the way it would polarize Doctor Who fandom in kind of a very ugly way. I think there would be people like screaming some really raw and mean things, and conversely, there are people on the other side of the equation that maybe just like have some mild criticisms or whatever that will be accused of being a screechy reactionist gatekeeper of some kind. I think that would be a harsh effect, really, and I wouldn't want. I mean, it's cute now when you have, tastes great, less filling versus the Tennant fans and the Smiths fans. I mean, but we can all agree that we're glad in the same room. But I honestly feel like there would be some ugliness, both online and maybe even at some of the conventions.
See, what's really hard about female characters, strong female characters, is they either come off being not strong enough, or they're characterized as a bitch, I guess you could say.
Or they're Mary Sue in that they can do absolutely no wrong. And yeah, that would be my fear of it too, is that, again, a female doctor would probably be plot armored to be like the greatest doctor ever, just to justify her. Now, I'll say this much, though. I think Miranda Hart would be a fantastic female doctor.
Oh my God, yes.
She's the first person that came into my mind when this seemed like, okay, this could be a legitimate possibility. ability. And I thought Miranda Hart would be perfect because she's got a presence, she's funny, she's intelligent, she's not unattractive, but she's not too attractive. And, well, I think she's attractive as hell, but that's me personally. And she's tall. I dig that.
What would you guys think if Moffat came down to you, Trish, and Mark, and they said, hey, I'm ready for the first female Doctor, who would you pick?
If I had to choose,
yeah.
a person I would love to see is Helen Mirren, and she's older too.
Yeah,
but I think she would be awesome. I think she'd get out of the park.
Actually, somebody, and this is not just because I had a chance to meet her at Magic City. I actually wouldn't mind seeing Rebecca Mader from Lost and Once Upon a Time.
Yeah.
I mean, thinking about it, she's not too old, not too young. She's good looking, but not supermodel. Let's put her in the skimpiest things that we have available. I think she could pull it off.
She tends to play stronger characters too.
Yeah. Right. I think she has that right mix that could really pull things off.
All right.
Good choices.
All right. Well, let's go back to some classic Doctor Who for a second. Did you hear about that they found a long-lost interview with William Hartnell?
No.
Ooh, heard about that. Just hadn't seen it. Dang.
Well, they're going to be releasing it soon. It was from a radio program called Desert Island Discs. Well, the premise of that show is that the guests, they get to choose what music they would take to a desert island if they were stranded there alone. And John Pertwee and David Tennant, they were also on that show at one point. But William Hartnell was actually on that show back in 1965. Wow. And it was right at the height of him being the Doctor. And they thought the recording was lost, but then they ended up finding about a 16-minute section of it. And they're going to be releasing it on BBC iPlayer soon, which I'm pretty certain that it'll be available to us at some point.
Cool.
But that would be fun.
So did they reveal what he would pick?
No, they did not. Of
course
not. They want you to listen to it.
I would take some chubby checker and who's that new young American brash guy? It's the Elvis Presley. And
what do you think? Think he'd be a Beatles fan?
The Chase. You actually had the Beatles.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, and he and when I think Barbara turned it off, he's like, "You just turned off my favorite Beatle."
That's right.
Actually, see, now I'm picturing. I mean, if this was not William Hartnell, but the first Doctor, I could picture him going, "I think I'd take some Shakira. She can really move that booty." Her movements are quite mesmerizing. Yes.
Her hips don't lie.
Yes.
Actually, quite in all honesty, I would really be interested and delighted to what he legitimately had to say, because I'm always personally fascinated at, what did the older generation listen to back then? Because you got to remember the stuff that they grew up on might not have been really recorded very often or whatever. I mean, phonographs and LPs and all that stuff, especially in the UK when resources to make that stuff were, because of the war effort, were pretty limited. I'm legitimately as kind of a pop culture, it's like historian fan to hear what he has to say.
I'm curious.
If all of you were trapped on an island and you had to pick one song, but it had to come from Doctor Who, it could be any theme, any music, what would you pick?
I would say Fox's "Don't Stop Me Now."
Oh, that's good.
I mean, one thing, I like when I listen to music, I like to relax, and just the kind of jazzy redo of that song would be, perfect as the sun goes down and, I finished another day of trying to write Help on the Sand and seeing if I could build a raft out of, I don't know, hopefully there'll be like crabs or something that I can use the shells and, build some sort of raft. I don't know.
Patrick, you're stuck on an island. You got one Doctor Who song, anything from any episode written by anybody. What would you pick?
Sylvester McCoy playing spoons.
I go for it. I'd actually take Chances by Athlete, the one from Vincent and the Doctor. The ending song.
That's not bad.
Because it has a bit of mix. If you want to mellow out, you have that intro in the beginning, or if you want something that builds up a little bit, starts building up in the end. So I kind of like that. It's not bad.
Mellow out. You're on an island by yourself.
you got no choice to mellow out.
I'm so tense at the hustle bustle of being on this island by myself. Jeez, if only I could just relax here.
Day 125, still listening to the song. No food, no water.
My BP is through the roof.
Of course, now, if there was an album of Sylvester McCoy playing the spoons, what do you call it? Spooning with the Doctor?
Oh.
You know what? Yeah, I see no reason why not. I'll tell him that at Shock Pop.
Sylvester McCoy brings Spooning with the Doctor, featuring the greatest hits now on Spoon.
He could clank those pretty good.
Oh, right. Now, Ed, I think you read the book Seasons of War, didn't you?
Engines of War.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, there's a collection of short stories coming out called Seasons of War. It's actually available in an ebook format right now, and it's Adventures of the War Doctor, and it's actually a charity book with all the proceeds going to Caldwell Children, which is a charity that helps families those that have children with physical disabilities like autism, epilepsy, and others. And right now, if you go to justgiving.com/DECLAN-MAY1, which is Declan is the man who is doing this charity, and you donate to the charity, he will send you a link that will let you download the book onto your iPad or Kindle or whatever.
They can make a donation to the physically challenged or the mentally challenged, and this nice act of charity. Here's a story about universal genocidal war.
Here's a story about a man being depressed about universal genocidal war.
It's always great when Doctor Who can be coordinated with a charity. I mean, that's a big tradition with Doctor Who, and I think we all know that from the earliest days, Doctor Who has always been linked with children's charities and whatnot. I just think there's a certain irony to tee it in with a War Doctor story. Kind of the same way I tease the 501st, the Stormtroopers, because they do a lot of work with charities in the United States, and they make a lot of to kids wards. And I have a joke in my stand-up act. Now, I hope for Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru's sake that they don't go by the burn ward.
As I said before, Patrick, about things like this, I said, there's nothing wrong with it. Let's just keep it simple.
Yeah.
But I do like that it's more stories about it's ironic that it's the War Doctor, but I do like that there's more stories on the War Doctor, because one anniversary special does not a complete picture of the War Doctor make, so it's good to see more stories.
And later on the website, they're going to be releasing a limited edition paperback version of it, and they'll have a link to pre-order it up soon, and all the proceeds for that will also be going to the charity. And then also something very interesting is that if you donate, you'll be getting updates in your email about previews, artwork, and more stories for Seasons of War. And it says, including a very special short film /teaser. And I'll put the link up on our Facebook page and our website, mark-who42.net, and go there and donate. I'm really curious to see what this short film is going to be.
So am I.
The limited amount of short films they've done here and there have, in many ways, been way better than the full episodes for the past couple of years. And I think they've expressed interest that they would love to do more of these little mini-sodes, but they just don't have the budget for it. But yeah, I would love to see maybe a little more War Doctor related stuff, even if they were to recast somebody as like a younger version of Hurt, maybe, for his, because again, there's so much history, even when you look at when the War Doctor first emerged and they did young Hurt's head on it, we also know the Doctor doesn't age the same way as humans do. Because have they actually given a timeline as to how long the War Doctor existed in human years?
No, they haven't.
I think it's hundreds or something.
Yeah, but I say he could have been gone on for a gang of time.
If I remember Engines of War correctly, he's been fighting this for hundreds of years.
Okay, so yeah, there's a lot of fodder out there for some good stories, or at least the potential for good stories.
And that's all the news, but we do have a few birthdays.
Yay!
So just the other day, January 30th, was Daphne Ashbrook's birthday.
Christian, did you send her a birthday card?
I'll get back to you on that.
I think Christian's been bumped back a few feet. What did you do?
At least 100 feet.
At least 100. I thought you were at 50. I thought that you were at 50. What'd you do, man? How'd you get her angry?
I'm drawing a blank. Refresh me on this young lady. What she did.
Oh,
she
Daphne
is in the 8th Doctor movie.
Right. Oh, right. Yeah, the first kiss. Right.
Yes.
Yeah, take that, Rose fans. She was the Doctor's first real smooch.
She should say on her official site and said, I was kissing the Doctor way before Rose or something like that.
We're trying to start a cat fight here. Jeez.
I remember back in the day, she was all for it. I mean, she walked into it, didn't know quite what she was getting into, but she did a good job of embracing the Who fans, and she seemed, again, like everybody else involved in that project, she really had high hopes for it, and God, yeah, I would love to see her brought back for a cameo somehow.
Well, we actually did an interview back 2 Hurricane Who's ago, and I got to interview her and I asked her about that kiss, and she was a little frightened to meet the fans at first at conventions because she was hearing all these stories about, the kiss heard around the Whoniverse, and she was really worried. But then when she got off the plane and went to her first con, they were, I don't think the true Whovians, I don't think they're going to let it hinder them. I think they're going to appreciate for her who she is, and she was a part of something wonderful. So I don't think The true Whovians don't do that.
Well, we wish her well. We wish her a happy birthday. She's what, 39?
I don't know how old she is. Let's go with 39.
All actresses of a certain age are 39.
Yes.
And do not pass it.
Who else has a birthday? Because
actually today, as we record, it is Elizabeth Sladen's birthday. Of course, she's no longer with us, but still we have to acknowledge her.
It's Sarah Jane. You have to acknowledge Sarah Jane. Just like you got to acknowledge the brig, you got to acknowledge Sarah Jane, you got to acknowledge all the doctors. It's a law written somewhere on the books. You got to do that.
Yeah, and I know I said this in your first interview. I mean, she is the patron saint of all Doctor Who companions, in my opinion, and I will fight anyone to the death when I say that she was all around the best Doctor Who companion there ever was. Maybe not will be. I will always leave that door open, but yeah, she was the best, and by all accounts, she was such a sweetheart.
Patrick, anybody wants to fight you to the death, I'm backing you up, man. I'll grab my weapon as well and go, you want to take Patrick down, you're going to have to take me down too.
Well, that is everything we have for today, as far as news and birthdays go.
Awesome. Well, we had a lot to talk about this episode, so next we're going to have actor Phil Nice on the show, who premiered in Kill the Moon. He actually has a pretty good resume behind him, and he'll be up next, and that'll be with our interview with Mark and Ed and I. And after that, we will be right back. Stay tuned and listen more.
Attention all Whovians! While you're waiting for the new episode of Doctor Who, start your own adventures with a book from Mark Who 42 Books. They carry unique and rare books at affordable prices. Visit Amazon.com/shops/MarkWho42. That's Amazon.com/shops/MarkWho42. Mark Who 42 Books. Set your imagination free into the Whoniverse.
Do you like retro shows? Did you grow up in either the 80s or the 90s? Then tune into Telecast, geekcast-radio.com's newest podcast. Join us here on the Telecast as we revisit some of your favorite shows, such as Clarissa Explains It All, Salute Your Shorts, Saved by the Bell, and much, much more. Only on geekcast-radio.com.
To Dr. Geek's Moment of Science. Here is the lab director and your human host, Dr. Geek.
Hello, everyone. There's been so much going on in the world since we spoke. Where should I begin?
Dr. Geek, you've got mail.
Well, look at that. It seems Mr. Flask has the internal hypertube system working. I guess we can't call it snail mail any longer. Let's see what we have here. John from Grover's Mill, New Jersey writes, Dear Dr. Geek, were you the inspiration for the character of Buckaroo Banzai? Don't be crazy. Banzai is a top neurosurgeon, particle physicist, race car driver, rock star, and comic book hero, while I'm an archaeologist, attorney, actor, author, science fiction hero. Note to self, have Madame Oracle research Buckaroo Banzai. Anyway, that reminds me, Dr. Banzai was famous for breaching the 8th dimension, but you're probably asking yourself, hey, Dr. Geek, what's the 8th dimension? I'm so glad you asked. The first 4 dimensions we're all familiar with. They consist of length, width, depth, and time. Now here's where things get a bit tricky. Superstring theory suggests that there are 10 dimensions. The 5th dimension is where we encounter the concept of alternate worlds. The 5th dimension would show us a world that started from the same initial condition as our own, but eventually deviated. The 6th dimension then would be the plane that consists of all the worlds of the 5th dimension. The 7th dimension consists of a world where, unlike the 5th and 6th dimensions, everything is different from our own from the very beginning. In other words, the world of the 7th dimension has a different initial condition from our own. Buckaroo's 8th dimension would then be the plane that consists of all the worlds of the 7th dimension. Moving beyond Buckaroo Banzai, the 9th dimension then covers all the possible laws of physics and initial conditions. The 10th and final dimension of superstring theory would then be the plane that contains all of the worlds of the 9th dimension, or where everything imaginable exists. Say, that sounds a lot like my laboratory. Take that, Banzai. What a great letter. Thank you, John. You know, we should have a group like the Blue Blaze Regulars. I'll have to think about that. But in the meantime, everyone should apply their geekdom.
This moment of science was brought to you by Dr. Geek's Laboratory of Applied Geekdom, a Brazen Wench production, copyright 2014, in association with this network. Join the adventure. Download the full Labcast at www.drgeeklab.com and follow us at facebook.com/drgeeklab and twitter.com/drgeeklab.
2012 marks the 30th anniversary for Masters of the Universe. We here at the GCRN are celebrating with a brand new series of podcasts. The Powers of Grayskull series will cover every episode of every MOTU cartoon. Yes, even that crappy New Adventure stuff. Join Optimus Solo and TFG1 Mike as they tell tales of Eternia, discover the myths of Etheria, become masters in space, and finally masters of Grayskull. You can find the Pogs podcasts in iTunes and the web at www.geekcast-radio.com. Good journey!
Hello, this is Peter Davison, and you're listening to Mark Who 42.
We're here on Mark Who 42's WHOniverse on Krypton Radio with Phil Nice. Hey, Phil, thank you for coming.
Hello, very nice to be talking to you across the long stretch of water.
Now, Phil, the reason we have you on the show is because last season, Series 8, you appeared in Kill the Moon.
I did indeed.
Yeah, Doctor Who, Kill the Moon. And you played Henry.
I played Henry.
The astronaut.
I did indeed play Henry.
Do you have a last name?
Not that I revealed to anybody, but I probably could make up one.
So what would be the last name you'd give your character?
I don't know, something like, what about Postlethwaite?
Henry Postlethwaite.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to put that. That'll be now on IMDb. It'll go as Henry Postlethwaite.
Point that now.
Well, we're gonna check with him. Someone type that in. Wikipedia, you can add anything.
That's a tribute to the actor, of course, who died not that long ago.
Oh, Pete Postlethwaite.
Pete Postlethwaite, yeah.
I love his work.
Yeah, I know.
Love him in The Usual Suspects.
Very good.
So, Phil, how did you come across the role of Henry Postlethwaite?
We're making it canon.
Let's just stick with Henry. It's a bit less of a mouthful, isn't it?
There you go.
Okay.
You heard it here first.
Well, in the usual fashion, really, I have an agent, and my agent puts me forward for various jobs. I'd also been up for a part in, or in fact 2 parts, in one of the episodes a couple of weeks before Kill the Moon, which was the one about Robin Hood and...
Robot of Sherwood, yes.
Yes, that's the one. And I didn't get either of those, but they were impressed enough to want to see me again. So I went and read for another part. And so I got that.
Were you a Doctor Who fan before you got this part?
I was kind of part-timer, really, and that probably sounds odd to you.
No, not at all.
Because when I first saw it, which was the very first episode I would have seen in the 60s, I watched it, and I watched it each week with William Hartnell, and I did watch it pretty regularly, but I didn't kind of make a date to watch it then thereafter. And I've kind of gone in and out of it over the years, I guess.
So you got to watch Unearthly Child. You saw the Daleks for the first time when they were on.
Oh, yeah.
You got to watch the Daleks. You got to, you saw it. You actually saw it. You were there.
I was there. I was there watching the first ever Dalek and being scared and and hiding behind cushions and things.
So was William Hartnell your doctor? I mean, or do you have another favorite doctor?
That's a tricky one. I think a lot of people in the UK like Tom Baker because he was kind of quirky and quite oddball, eccentric. I go along with that. I think he was quite different. I liked Patrick Troughton. I liked him as well.
Oh, excellent.
And I also liked, in the recent ones, I liked David Tennant.
Okay, so we're on the same page. Cool.
I also really like Peter Capaldi.
Peter is amazing. Peter Capaldi is amazing. Yeah. What was it like to work with him?
He's very, very... You realise how hard he works. I mean, the whole time, he has to... He's pretty much on camera the whole time. He has to get scripts for the following week in his mind as he's doing that. I mean, it's an incredibly arduous job. And it's quite physical as well. And he plays it quite physically, I think, for a man in his 50s.
What was it like getting killed by CGI?
What?
You were killed by spiders. What was that?
No, they weren't. Mark, they weren't spiders. They were germs. They were germs that looked like spiders.
Yeah. I was absolutely terrified, as you can imagine. The most terrifying aspect of it was being in a kind of very heavy, hot costume and having to kind of move around quite kind of suddenly and quite vigorously at one point.
Are you ready for your first real trip into space? I mean, could you wear a spacesuit? Do you see yourself, if the space program ever goes anywhere, do you ever see yourself out of here?
Yeah, I think I could, because I'm sure the costume wouldn't be as uncomfortable as the one I actually wore.
Yeah, I think those things have built-in air conditioning and stuff.
Yeah, they probably didn't do that on the show. You didn't get an air conditioner.
They did have a fan. They had a fan in the helmet. And when we were actually filming it in Lanzarote, we did have air cooling, water cooling things through our suits.
How hot was it there? Like, what was the temperature like?
Well, I guess if we're talking because you like using Fahrenheit,
yeah,
don't
we definitely,
because you're sticking with your Fahrenheit. Well, it's probably about 79, 80.
Oh, that's not bad.
85, but when you're in a heavy suit.
Oh, well, yeah.
And you've got layers underneath that. It's quite hot.
Well, what was the humidity we were talking about?
The only humidity I knew about was the sweat that was pouring off me.
Not Florida humidity here.
Yeah,
which is just encompassing. Speaking of going off the planet, just recently, as we're recording this, they just had a probe land on a comet coming from Europe. What do you think about that news?
Amazing, absolutely astonishing. I think it's just a brilliant thing, and I was really excited when it landed yesterday.
Getting to an acting question, and just going back to when you were given the part, did you know when you were given the part that your character was slated to be killed, or did you find that out as you got the script?
No, I did know, I think, pretty early on, because even in that particular draft, when I read the script, I think it was clear that certain characters were going to die on the way, and I was one of those. I mean, one of the things that I discovered was the difference between the script that you get on that initial read-through, or indeed at the initial kind of the casting for it, isn't altogether similar to the one that you actually finish up with. And I did lose quite a few lines along the way, but rightly so, because the story is the king. That's what's got to carry. It's not the kind of the little lines here and there that I could offer.
Is there anything that got cut that you think, oh, that would have been nice if they would have kept it?
Well, I guess any lines would have been nice to have been kept, because I really ended up just having one or two lines. So it would have been quite nice to have had a little bit more. But as I say, I understand completely why, because the paramount thing is to kind of keep the story working. Yeah, there was a line of background which suggested why I was chosen to come, which was that I was an airline steward for Virgin Galactic.
I like that.
Nice. With Richard Branson.
Nice.
And so the idea was that it had been operating, and it had operated sort of, and I'd been a steward, basically.
Usually we start off the interviews with this question, but I jumped right in to kill the moon. So let's take care of this question right now.
Go on.
There are probably a lot of people listening who do not know who you are. So who is Phil Nice?
There are probably most of your listeners won't know who I am. I've made quite a long career doing a lot of comedy. I started out doing comedy. I mean, that was where my first thing, really.
Yeah. You did something called Arthur and Phil Go Off?
I did indeed. And that was on the Discovery Channel once, I believe.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
Okay.
It was basically a short series of comedy documentaries written by myself and Arthur Smith.
Love Arthur Smith.
Yeah, now Arthur's a very dear friend of mine, and we were at university together, and so we started out together. We did a double act together, and we were in a larger review group together. And yes, that program was one of our ideas, and it was picked up. And sadly, didn't go beyond the first series, but I've stuck it on YouTube. So I hope people will get to watch it.
You know what? I'm gonna have to check that out now. I'm going to have to.
You are indeed.
We are.
Yes.
You'll see me.
Not right now. I mean, we're going to talk to you.
No.
I'm not going to go now.
Stop the show for about an hour.
Yeah, it was in the 80s, so it was some time ago. But I think it still holds up. I think it still works, So I did that, and I've done loads of stuff on both comedies and kind of popular dramas, really.
And I want to talk to you about some of those. First of all, and I bring this up to anybody who we have on the show who has been on this other show that is my favorite British soap opera EastEnders. I love EastEnders. You were on twice. One is Ron in 2000, and the other time, and I just watched this about 5 minutes ago. Before the radio show, I watched the episode dated 19th of September 2005, where you play Mr. Smith, which they never really call you Mr. Smith, but...
No. But I had a name.
Yeah. You were installing CCTV in Johnny Allen's bar, and you let Billy Mitchell boss you around. I'm sorry. What was that? What were you thinking?
Well,
Billy Mitchell bossing you around? No one's going to understand what we're talking about now. Listening in.
But I just came up with this conclusion. His first name was Henry in Kill the Moon, and his last name was Smith, so we call him Henry Smith.
There you go.
Yeah, we've got a combined character.
But I have a theory of why you were not on another episode of EastEnders after that episode where you listened to Billy. Because Johnny Allen got upset that you had put the CCTV in the wrong angle, and he had you killed. That's how I'm thinking it went. And that's
you seem to want to kill me off in everything I do.
So I think Johnny Allen killed Mr. Smith off. Speaking of killing, you were in the second episode of Inspector Morse as the dead guy.
I was. I look at it like this, Mark. I look at it as the title role.
It was The Silent World of Nicholas Quinn, and you were Nicholas Quinn.
I was, and I died before the opening credits.
No. You made a little past the opening credits, and then you start telling somebody about that you overheard reading lips.
That's right.
That they were selling to Foreign Examination Syndicate secrets. And there was, the plot, and then that was the last they saw of you. And then 5 minutes later, Morse comes on, and then you're lying there dead. It was great fun. It was great fun.
Well, I guess they're going to have a new episode for Torchwood called "They Keep Killing Phil."
Well, you were a male hiker in Miracle Day. Did you get killed in that?
There you go.
I was probably responsible for the missile launch.
Probably. You were also in an episode of Mr. Bean.
Yes, Mr. Bean. Now that's served me well, I have to say.
You stole Mr. Bean's girlfriend at a disco.
So Mr. Bean was in 1990, I think. That was a long time ago, but I'm still every now and then getting bits of cash coming through for it, which is a lovely thing, because it's one of those things that will be shown forever.
It will.
Nice.
It will be shown.
You know what? And Mark, I think we figured out why he was killed in Kill the Moon and why he may have been killed in EastEnders. It's because he stole Mr. Bean's girlfriend. It's karma.
That's the reason.
It's karma.
You also did an episode of Goodnight Sweetheart.
Oh, yes, I did.
Nicholas Lyndhurst is one of my favorite comedy actors, and I love him to death. And you played a real-life character, George Formby.
Yes. It wasn't so much an impression. It was a nod to George Formby.
Right.
But I did get some fantastic false out of it.
And you play a good drunk.
Oh, thank you.
You do. You were very believable. Did you drink anything, or were you acting?
No, that's acting.
It's acting.
I really enjoyed that one. Except, again, as in the Doctor Who, I was in a very, very hot costume on a hot summer's day playing a snow scene because it was set in the winter.
Right.
They had to spray snow everywhere.
If I remember correctly, the point of that story was that Gary, or Nicholas Lyndhurst's character, was going to sell you the song When I'm 64, 20 years too early or something.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. I was just thinking, you've either got a really good memory or you're very, very, very good at sort of following up on things.
I watch a lot of TV. What can I say? Inspector Morse has always been a favorite show of mine. Mr. Bean I watched years ago, and I went back to when I found out you were in it, and I can't believe you stole Mr. Bean's girlfriend. And Mr. Bean had the last laugh. He turned the electricity off, so ha, 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 you couldn't dance. But wait a minute, what could you do if you didn't dance? That's true. He may not have thought that through. If the lights are out, no music, he may not have thought that through.
Well, seriously, if you're going to lose your girlfriend, couldn't you lose it to a nicer guy, no pun intended, to Phil?
No, then
there you go.
No, Phil's a nice guy.
Well, that was, thank you.
Of course, Mark, given all the trivia you're spouting, I'm beginning to think that you can't rag on me if I break out something obscure.
No, I guess I can't rag on you anymore.
You're dragging through British sitcoms and dramas, and so
I'm trying to show a picture of Phil as being an all-around actor and comedian.
Okay, I know you are, but what am I? Seriously, well, it looks like we're both guilty of having bits of trivia in our head.
Getting back to Doctor Who, when you were doing Kill the Moon, you got to go on location to Lanzarote. Can you tell us a little about it?
Yes, indeed. Everything was crammed into just a few days because obviously budgets are tight on all things, it would seem, these days. So we had to leave really, really early, kind of middle of the night, to get the flight because it was the cheapest flight, but also because we needed to sort of almost start working immediately. So that was me and the crew and costume sort of went out really from the UK and the other actors. And the set, the kind of location had already been sorted out with people from Lanzarote being used as well, people who work in television in Lanzarote, as well as BBC people flown out earlier. It's quite a big team, actually, working on it. A really lovely bunch of people. I salute the wardrobe department because they were attending to our every needs in our hot, heavy suits.
They looked authentic. The suits looked authentic.
I know. They were specially made. They were specially made by a costume designer. They were absolutely amazing. But unfortunately, they weren't very comfortable.
Right.
As I keep on saying, I think I've probably said it 8 or 9 times now. But they did look amazing. And the landscape there is just utterly perfect. It was really good to be able to sort of walk on this surface that did seem like the moon.
It did.
Yeah. And we had a good time, but it was a sort of hard-working time. You don't get an awful lot of time to sit around,
Hard-working actor, this Phil Nice is.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen his resume. It's really cool. It's good stuff.
I did, though, with regard to Lanzarote, I did manage to sort of get to take my wife with me, and we had a couple of extra days at the end, so that was rather nice. Yeah.
It's your last name, too.
Yeah.
Now, Phil, do you have any online presence that people could visit and see, a website, a Facebook site, and do you have any upcoming projects or films or movies that you're doing that people could see?
No. Well, currently I'm appearing on a British sitcom. It's a mainstream Asian sitcom. It's the first one.
Citizen Khan.
Really. Yeah.
Okay. I haven't seen the first episode of the season yet.
I'm in 5 of the series of 6, and in the Christmas show, which is obviously sometime around the Christmas week.
Right.
Or what you would call the holiday week, I guess. I don't know what you say these days.
I'm Jewish. I don't celebrate Christmas, so I couldn't answer that.
Yeah, well, then it's a holiday week for you, isn't it?
It's a week off. You have a week off. Yeah.
However you want to present it, we'll accept it as long as it's in good faith. There you go.
So that's what I'm appearing in currently. That was one of the last jobs I did. And thereafter, it is a desert that beckons me, that I'll find something. Something will come my way, I think. But I'm in one of those kind of periods where things are, a little bit quiet. I do a fair amount of medical role play as well, where I play the part of a patient for training doctors or for experienced doctors that need a bit of extra help.
Wow.
So I do that, and I run quizzes. We have a tradition in this country to do pub quizzes. Yes, and I do one of those a week.
Oh, that's cool. One of the things we do at my Doctor Who club, we have trivia contests that Ed comes up with the questions for, and so we kind of do that too. We have our meetings at a pub, so I do a pub quiz too.
Excellent.
If you're ever down in the States, in South Florida, or even here in Nevada, you're welcome to come.
And you can run the quiz for us.
Or you could take part. I just have to warn you, when I do the questions, I like to challenge people.
You can start to make you think.
It sounds like the antithesis of my quiz then. My quiz has the emphasis on fun.
Fun? See, that's what I was trying to tell Ed, that it should be fun, not
I still try to make it fun, but, I've had private school education all my life, and what I was drilled into me is, yes, we can have fun, but you have to think.
Well,
easy is for babies.
Well, I do a bit of both, really. I mean, I try to kind of get the balance right, and I think I succeed because people keep coming back, so that seems to work.
If you were asked to do another Doctor Who episode as a different character, would you do it?
Of course. I mean, it's Most people I know that when I said I was doing Doctor Who just said, oh, wow, that is the job that everybody wants to have. And it is true. It is one of those programs that you think, yeah, this is really good. I'm so glad I'm doing this. So very pleased and very proud to have done it. And, there are one or two jobs that sort of turn up like that. And I'm glad I've done it. I hope I'll get the chance to do it again. I know that Tony Asoba, who was in the same episode as me, he's done it 3 times. So the door is ever open, it would seem, even if you die.
Yeah, no, I was about to say, this is the WHOniverse. Henry can come back anytime. They just need a good story behind it.
Nobody really dies. I did try to convince the director that actually Henry didn't really die and should come back for the Christmas episode.
I vote yes.
But he didn't buy it.
No, he didn't buy it.
If they do have you back, would you want to do the role in alien makeup or still be a human being?
I quite like the idea of still being a human and being recognisable, because there's a little bit of you as an actor that kind of quite wants people to see you if you've done good work, But that said, I'd turn my hand to anything. I have played quite a lot of different things and then put a lot of wigs on and prosthetics and in my time. So
I was about to say, we should give you some slack there. You did wear an astronaut suit, so I think it's time you had some FaceTime on the next episode.
Yeah, maybe next time I could have a bit more of me being shown,
And hopefully this time you won't get killed by some weird germ spidery thing.
Yeah.
Phil, it's been nice having you on our show.
Hey.
You shouldn't have went there. Phil,
I've never heard that before.
I've never heard that one before.
Oh, come on.
Okay.
Phil, where could people find you? We found you through Twitter, but where else could they find you?
Well, I do have a website, but I'm loath to sort of say much about it because for the last 2 or 3 years, I've done nothing. And all it has got on it is what you can find by Googling anyway, which is an out-of-date show reel and my IMDb and all that kind of business. I'm very bad at self-publicity and self-promotion. But that said, Twitter. I'd love people to sort of follow me on Twitter, or if they have any interest. That's it, really, effectively, I think. Yeah.
Well, Phil, thank you very much for coming on our show. We appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure, if a little bit sporadic.
So if they have a female doctor, that's going to screw up all the slash fiction that's on the internet. Are we recording back up? Okay, hi guys.
No, I think if anything, all the DeviantArt people will be like, yes!
I think they'll be very, very confused.
Well, that was a great interview with Phil Nice. And a pretty good discussion we had in the news segment there. Well, folks, thanks again for listening, as always. Thank you, Patrick Hawkins, for coming on to the show, as always, and being our fifth Beatle. I love it.
I appreciate it. It's Hawkins, by the way, Hawkins.
I know, but I am just...
Jeez, insulting the guest's name.
No, I'm not really a guest. I'm more of like a roaming contributor, so I could be, I could be abused at your leisure. That's fine. My fellow geeks of comedy do it all the time anyway.
Also, for our audience out there, we are pleased to announce that Mark Who 42 WHOniverse is going to the next level starting, we're trying to start it out this year. And we are looking for sponsors to help our show grow, and in return, form a great partnership with our sponsors to promote their business. I just want to let you know, for those who are interested, our ratings are steadily going up. Our show downloads for our podcast increasing exponentially. This is on for both our past and present, and cliché-ically, our future episodes coming up as well there. Our name and our brand are expanding out. So this year, we have been invited to cons. We are stretching out not only East Coast, but West Coast to MegaCon. We're going to be hosting panels at Shock Pop, Florida SuperCon, SnafuCon, Wizard World Reno, and RageCon. These are just to name a few. I'm sure this list is going to expand throughout the entire year, and we are excited to see everybody out there at those cons there. As we host more of these panels, our audience is going to expand as well, and to help expand you to advertise your business. For those of you interested to begin your partnership with us, please contact Mark at markwho42.net or markwho42media@yahoo.com, and we'll provide you with all the price listings and answer any questions you may have. Let's start our adventure together in the WHOniverse.
And Christian, I think before we sign off, I do want to mention that, hey, coming next week, we're going to have round 2 of the top 10 greatest moments in New Who history.
That's right.
I just want to say this to the fans out there. We've got a lot of responses, a lot of people who went among the choices that we put up for round 1 and, pick their favorites. Next week, before we get on to the round 2 picks, I will be letting everybody know how that worked out, what got the most. Something I do want to say right now, remember, this is from the beginning of the year until October. So if there are a bunch of people who are like, oh, why isn't the end of Vincent and the Doctor here? Oh, I love this moment from the 50th. Oh, what about this moment? If it doesn't show up in 1 month, that doesn't mean it's not going to show up at all. This is a list of 10 items. Just have patience. Absolute worst case, maybe after our list is done, we may even open up the floor for anything that did not show up. And, then you could mention the moment that you love that we didn't mention. So, just wait until the whole thing comes out. Everything will reveal itself in time.
And just remember, just to recap, you can go to our Facebook site. The polling should be up there. And it also is on the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Is also our Weekend TARDIS and Weekend TARDIS Reno. We Heart Doctor Who. You can check out any of these sites. The polling should be up there. You can catch it. Make sure you vote on it. Remember, Ed's pick was... What was your pick, Ed?
Mine was No Sir, All 13.
No Sir, All 13. Trish's was
Matt Smith's first episode when he walks through the images of the other Doctors. Basically
Run.
Basically Run, yeah.
Yeah. Mark's was the Time Crash, and mine was when the Curator came in, Tom Baker, in the 50th anniversary episode. So there's your 4 choices to pick from.
Round 2, we're going to have 4 new choices.
Exactly.
Those are all really good.
What we're going to do is, so we have a little cliffhanger on this one, not a plot hole. Patrick, we're going to ask you what your favorite is, and we're going to put it on the next episode. How's that sound?
Did I ask you at Magic City, Patrick? I think I did.
We talked about favorite moments of Capaldi's season, but I don't think for New Who in general. I don't think I.
Okay, so I didn't tell you about. I didn't talk to you about the poll because I know I talked to a whole bunch of I actually got a whole bunch of people at Magic City, but I didn't get your pick.
Oh, I guess not. I guess everybody will have to find that out next week, now, won't they?
Huh.
There you go.
I could have sworn I spoke to you.
Right, you are, Kenny.
It was MagicCon was such a blur. It was a wonderful blur, but it's a blur.
Yeah. That's what she said. Anyway, folks, thank you for joining us. Join us next week, and remember to check us out on Krypton Radio, www.krypton-radio.com. We premiere Wednesdays and Fridays, and then after the episode premieres on Wednesdays, you can download for free at www.marku42.net or on iTunes for free. You can listen at any time on your iPhone or Android or whatever you got to listen to it. Other than that, folks, any last words?
I was telling people at Magic City, don't just listen on Krypton Radio. Also download it so you have a copy you can keep. And it's for free. You don't have to pay any money. If you loved our interview with Phil Nice, if you loved our interview with Jason Connery, keep a copy. Keep it so you can listen to it over and over again.
Well, everybody have a good day and watch the Super Bowl if you care.
Oh, that's right. Today's a Super Bowl.
Today's a Super Bowl.
I love Super Bowl Sunday because it's such a great day to go see a movie.
Oh, ow.
Especially today. I asked my brother, so who are you going to root for? And he said the commercials.
Yeah, I'm with her brother on that one. What I'm really hoping for is we get another trailer for Age of Ultron, and that they finally show us the Vision. Come on, show us what the Vision looks like.
Like in action. We've seen pictures of him.
Exactly. Let's have some actual. And I think like in either one of the other teasers or a special that Marvel had on TV, we kind of get a glimpse of him over Scarlet Witch's shoulder. It's like, let's get a full-blown look. Come on. Guys.
That'll be good. I look forward to seeing it on YouTube several hours after it's broadcast.
If we are getting that, chances are you'll probably find it already on YouTube.
Probably. And they shoot their wads so early. Now it's like Super Bowl commercials are usually up on the internet a couple days beforehand, just to increase the hoopla.
Conan O'Brien showed off a Super Bowl commercial or two on his show. So
it used to be a Doctor Who podcast.
Well, maybe there'll be a Doctor Who commercial on.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, there you go.
That would be awesome.
That would be so...
The new Doctor Who toys from Underground Toys featuring the new 11th Doctor and his companion, Amy Vaughn.
And suddenly all of America went, what the hell's that?
Why is he traveling around in this weird blue telephone booth?
All it is a deflated football, and then the eyebrows shoot up on the screen. There you go. Anyway, everybody, thanks for joining us. And remember, there's nothing wrong with it. Just keep it simple. Have a good one, folks.
That's what she said.
Marku 42's Whoniverse has been written and presented by Mark Baumgarten, Patricia Helm, Eduardo-m-Freyre, Patrick Hawkins, and Christian-basel. This show was edited, produced, and directed by Mark Baumgarten. Please visit mark42.net and register to join and be a part of the Whoniverse Army. You can become contacted by email at mark@markwho42.net with the subject line ? If you have worked on Doctor Who or are working on a project relating to Doctor Who and want to be on our radio show, please email our media relations director, christian-basel, at mark-who42media@yahoo.com. Doctor Who and its properties are owned by the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation. This show is owned and copyrighted by Mark Baumgarten, 2015. You're listening to Krypton Radio.